It is possible to span private VLANs across multiple switches, but it does get a little complicated. So if you can avoid doing that, that's great, but you do have the ability to do it, as we see right here. We have the primary VLAN spanning multiple switches, which means we're really running end-to-end VLANs at this point in time. It would be better if we were doing local VLANs using the enterprise campus architecture. However, it's not mandatory. So if you're using end-to-end VLANs and you want to implement private VLANs, you can do so. However, those trunk links can be configured different ways depending on your infrastructure. So in this case here, we can see two switches, and both of these switches support private VLANs. So all we really need between them is a standard trunk port, because both of the switches support private VLANs, and as a result, the trunk has the ability to carry the primary VLAN, the secondary VLAN information, just like any other VLAN. However, what if you had a switch that supports private VLANs connected to a switch that doesn't support private VLANs, such as a 2960? However, all of these devices are still in VLAN 100, but you can't segregate them out here. So you're not relying on any type of private VLANs on this particular switch, but this one is. How can you still provide communication, as well as making sure that when traffic comes in, it's not going to devices that it should not be going to? Well, in this case, you can set up the trunk ports as an isolated VLAN trunk port, because this gives you the ability to connect the private VLAN-enabled switch to a downstream switch that doesn't support private VLANs. So now that trunk can carry the normal VLANs as well as the private VLAN information across the trunk, while making sure that the communication is still isolated, as it should be based on the private VLAN configuration and the sub VLANs we have over here. Now, what about the uplink? It is quite possible that the upstream router doesn't support private VLANs whatsoever. And if that is the case and you have sub interfaces, end-to-end VLANs, a really complicated scenario, you might have to set up the port as a promiscuous VLAN trunk port. And this is going to give you that ability to connect your private VLAN-enabled switch to that upstream router that doesn't support private VLANs at all. So what's going to happen now with this trunk is it's going to carry your normal VLAN traffic, it's going to carry your private VLAN traffic, and all of that is necessary to continue to provide the communication that you need, while still ensuring that you maintain that level of security and segregation that you're trying to accomplish with that private VLAN deployment.